have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
This ain't no regular thing. I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talking me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion. The game is in trouble, I've been in my depth for the piece of the puzzle, I got it for real. Still keep me going, I wake up and hustle, you won't see me buckle, I've been in the field. Man of the town, you been in your fields, I'm adjusting this crown. Call me your majesty, either that or your tragedy. We shutting everything down. I've been hot like somebody put a candle on them. Off top, I don't really stand opponents, this mine. The moment is run out and start a bunch of pandemonium. More game, I got some, the skill is by one, y'all done, the game in the coffin. Referee scream rest in peace, and think twice if you next to me, it's West. This ain't no regular thing, I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean, this for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion. It's our repetition, I'm stacking these trophies, I'm good with addition. I spit like a pastor, I give you the vision.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on One Ass Cheek, Three Toes. This is episode 5. I am your host, Brian Bistro. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. We have a laden show for you today. We got UFL, NBA, NFL, hockey, baseball, March Madness even. We're going to start off today with the UFL. Their season starting in about a couple of weeks, and the UFL players filed a complaint. And they are complaining because of certain things that are going on with the league stepping in there and trying to prevent them from doing league sanctioned functions. And a couple players got released one player got released because of it, and the players say that's not right because that's not in the contract. They shouldn't be getting released because they're not agreeing with certain policies. So UFL is going to start off to a nice season with this going on. Hopefully they get this resolved, and we go back with the UFL season, which I'm looking forward to. But this is not a very good thing to start off with. Now, going into the NBA. Yeah, and hey, Brett, how you doing, man? Congratulations, Michigan Wolverines, Big Ten tournament champs. Go Blue. Yes, sir. Go Blue. And Michigan State, too. Can't forget about them. Got to get our Michigan teams in there. So NBA has an MVP race with 2 players right now, kind of. And let's see here. These 2 are the characters of that MVP race. We got good old Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or as we affectionately call him, Shea Butter. He is the leading scorer in the NBA. He's one of 2 players averaging over 30 per game. Became 5th player with more than 50 points plus games since 2000. No other has hit 50 this season. So he had 4 games of 50 this season. And then to the left or your right of him is Nikolai Jokic from the Denver Nuggets. He has won 3 of the past 4 MVPs. He's delivered the first 3 30, 20, and 20 game in league history. 22 assists, most assists by a center in a single game. So it's down to these 2 guys. I really think they should give it to Shea Butter because Shea Butter did well last year, and he didn't get MVP, and I think he deserved MVP. But it's to be seen. It's to be seen. In other news, we have this happened. JB Bickerstaff was disgusted by officiating. And this is really kind of what it's from. I'll put it on here for you, and we will get into that just a moment. We're going to welcome Nate into the picture here. What's up, Nate?
What up, dude? How you doing?
All right. How you doing, man?
Oh, good, man. Just working away.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, even though you're working.
Yeah, I don't celebrate that.
Okay, whatever. We're on here talking about the right now, talking about the Bickerstaff blow up.
Yeah.
He's disgusted by the officiating. I'm going to show you a clip of what actually happened during that whole segment.
They're without their second, third, and fourth leading scorers in this ballgame. Take all that into consideration. Cade in the lane. Malik Beasley with a long gun. It won't go. Isaiah Stewart with a rebound. There's a man down, staying down. Yeah. Look at Williams. Keep your eye on Williams, number 6.
Isaiah did kind of toss him out of the way.
That's hostile in today's NBA.
Following review, Dort slips on his own player's foot. It is not a hostile act. The loose ball foul stands, and there will be 2 shots.
Luckily, the Pistons haven't lost Isaiah Stewart, their toughest operator. Hate to see another technical coming on the Pistons. So, George, they're going to make themselves have to dig out of an even deeper hole because OKC now has at least 3 free throws coming. And they got an 11-point lead right now. 47.5 to play in the third. The check is on Cade now. There's the leader pleading the case for his team. Stayed after it. Well, how does that get you a 10? Dennis Schroeder can't believe it either. J.B. Bickerstaff is all the way out on the floor now, trying to get his players, I think, back over. And he's still got a quarter to play. They just got another technical. Uh-oh, and it's on Cade Cunningham. Brian Forte. No, it's on J.B. Bickerstaff. I think he's been ejected. Called it on J.B. and he's gone. Trying to get this crowd up.
Everybody thought they were ejected.
This is pulling Cade away from the officials. You know what? It's on Cade. Cade Cunningham has picked up his second. And Cade is done. So if they win this thing now, they're going to have to do it without Cade Cunningham. Leading scorer, best player.
So basically on that, what happened was that Cade said something that
He said the F
probably a four. Yeah, said the F word to the referee, and of course the referee didn't like that too much, so he kicked him out, which was kind of messed up because I mean you get cussed at all the time. Your referee should be able to understand. I mean, if he wasn't,
but the F word they usually toss you if you say the F word.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't have tossed him anyway. It was
I
just,
agree.
the whole situation. It was just messed up anyway from the get go, as you saw with the penalties. It ended up shooting 5 techs in that scenario, which contributed him to winning that game. And after the game, J.B. Bickerstaff came in there and had this to say.
Disrespect was above and beyond. They have a guy fall down and trip on his own teammate's foot. They review us for a hostile act. They They throw an elbow to our chest, neck area. I ask for them, at least take a look at it, right? Just show us the respect to take a look at it, okay? No one would take a look at it, okay? The disrespect has gone far enough, and I'm not gonna allow our guys to be treated the way that they were treated tonight, okay? I tried to have a conversation with official. The official was arguing with Mark. I say his name one time, and he screams at me and tells me that's enough, right? We understand that we play a style of ball that's physical, it's on the edge, right? I coach my ass off with a passionate way. I'm into the games. Our players are into the games. We understand that, right? But we deserve a level of respect because we're competing our tails off and bringing something positive to this league, right? We're growing young players. Our young players are competing their tail off. The least that they could do is get the same respect that everybody else in this league gets and get refereed the same way that everybody else in this league gets reffed. And enough is enough of it. And what you saw tonight was disgusting. It was a disgusting.
Yeah. Can I?
So
can I
I mean,
talk oh, go ahead.
sure. Go ahead.
He's not wrong. Like, that was an egregious call. Like, Dort literally fell on himself and actually hurt himself doing that play. But like, it was a lot of nothing. Like, Cade did not deserve. Cade was very animated, which he's usually not animated at all. And it was very, sad to see Cade have to get to that point and then get ejected. But the reality is young teams do not get calls. And Detroit has kind of played a physical level that is kind of has the NBA on notice. Like, Isaiah Stewart is the perfect example, like getting it with LeBron and, countless ejections or cheap plays. Like, so the NBA is on notice with Detroit. And I think that Bickerstaff has a point of what he's saying, but the problem is going into the playoffs, he's not going to get those calls regardless. Like, it's only going to get worse. And I don't know if highlighting that, I mean, from a team standpoint, it looks good because you want your coach to step up for you and stand up for you. We love that. We want to see that as fans, as teammates, whatever. But calling out the NBA, he's going to get fined massively, first and foremost. Second of all, it could get even more egregious going forward. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of a fine line you have to walk.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that in totality. I think that it might make them. It doesn't make a difference. They've been a young team for the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's not. That's not something that
they're relevant. That's the point. Is now when you're young and you suck, nobody gives a shit. Like you're just another.
And that's something that's got to change in the NBA. That's all there is to it. You can't. You gotta referee fairly, and this is the same thing we say about all the sports that are professional.
Sure, but the NBA,
it's always
the NBA is definitely a star-driven league. Like they favor the stars over anybody else. I mean, look at James Harden.
Obviously, they don't favor all the stars because Cade Cunningham is a star.
Well,
so
Cade,
I mean, if he's not
a coming star, he's not a household name for a lot of people yet. He's not a James Harden. He's not a Shai Gilgeous. He's not a Nikola Jokic. He's not a Tatum, but he's coming. He'll get those calls at some point, but I just think that, like, if Bickerstaff thinks it's going to change going into the playoffs, he's got nothing coming, especially if they play the Knicks, because the Knicks are star-driven, and they will get those calls, especially with Brunson. Brunson will beat them up left and right getting to the free throw line because that's what he does. So that's all I'm saying. See.
We'll see. I think the Pistons will take them out easily. Brent.
Easily.
Brent. Well, that's because you're a Knicks fan. Brent. Yeah, they do get fined. Like they when they criticize the refs.
Oh, he's gonna get massively.
They do. Yeah, it's. Yeah. I don't know about massively fined. Yeah, you'll get a fine. I mean, he didn't. I mean, I've seen worse by a coach talking about officiating. I've seen a lot worse, and they didn't get. That
I haven't heard
that
the
much,
word
but they'll get fined.
I haven't heard the word disgusting used by a coach. I've heard of like numbers.
I've heard terrible. Terrible is just like disgusting. Terrible, disgusting.
Trust me, dude. They're gonna
Stupid.
make
I heard him call referees stupid. I've heard a coach call a referee stupid. I've heard all that stuff.
I'd be willing
before.
to make a wager that he's going to get hit hard on this fine. I guarantee you. I promise you. They are going to send a message to this coach, to any of the coaches going forward. I promise you. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's just a slap on the wrist. But I think they're going to send a message.
I don't think it's going to be a slap on the wrist, but I don't think it's going to be egregious.
Well, when I say slap on the wrist, I mean it's going to be like it's standard fine for questioning officiating. But I think they're gonna be hard with this one. But we don't know yet. They haven't ruled down anything yet. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just young teams, man. Young teams don't get calls. I mean, you know, they have to earn their ways in those situations, and that's how the NBA is. Like James Harden had to earn his reputation to get fouls. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as good as he is, he gets a lot of fouls. But, you know, you talk to a lot of NBA heads or listen to a lot of NBA heads, they say the same thing, that when Shai Gilgeous gets to the playoffs, he might not get those calls. Because when the playoffs come around, that's where they tighten up the whistle and they try to let him play as much as possible. You know, so, but we'll see. You know, I'm glad he stepped up for his team. That's what you want to see a coach do. Now, how do they go forward with this? You know, that's the main thing.
Well, they're going to go forward the way they've been going forward all the time. I don't think they're going to change the way they coach. I don't think he's going to change the way the players play.
No, they shouldn't. But, you know, yeah.
So it's not going to make a difference. He might get fined, and he might get fined significantly. You don't know. But it doesn't make a difference because it's not going to change it. It's not going to change it. So,
yeah, exactly.
That the coach just lost 50 calls in the playoffs? Probably. But you know what? You still got to play.
Yeah.
You know, let the refs be a bunch of assholes because you're going to be playing against the refs anyway. That's how the playoff games go.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're a lower seed fighting against a top seed.
Dance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it don't make a difference. What was your opinion? I don't know. Did you come in on NBA when I had the NBA 2-star race?
Oh yeah,
for MVP.
Yeah,
who do you think's going to win it?
It should be Shai. Shai should win it. But I mean, Nikola Jokic is just tearing up right now. The stat lines, like he is putting up crazy freaking numbers right now. But I do think it's Shai, and the only thing that I think that Shai has over Nikola Jokic, well, two things actually. One is Shai is winning with a very young team. Like their team is about as young as the college basketball teams. That's crazy. On top of that, he plays defense. He can defend. And when you talk about MVP, I want a guy who can defend and also ball out on offense. Nikola Jokic is just an offensive player. Like he's a willing defender, but Shai actually is up there in steals and is a good on-ball defender at times. You know, not the greatest, but he's there, and he does it two ways, and he deserves the MVP. He should have deserved it last year. I voted for him last year. But Nikola Jokic, every year, dude, Nikola Jokic is just dominating. Like, it's going to be close, but I think Shai wins.
I think Shai should win. Should have won last year.
I agree.
So, and I mean, the dude is on, averaging over 30 points a game. He's the only one averaging. He's a hot leading scorer in the league.
Right.
And he's only one of two players averaging over 30.
Yeah.
And Giannis is the other one. He had 4 50-point games this year. Nobody's had a 50-point game this year but him.
True.
So I mean, he's doing, and to Jokic's, the Joker's detriment too. He's won 3 of the past 4 MVPs. So obviously, this is the point. He's delivered the first 30, 20, and 20.
Be a top 3 pick every time in the MVP votes because he's so good. He's just so dominant.
He's already done a couple of historic things. He's got the 30-20-20 game. That's the first one in league history. And then he had 22 assists, which is the most by a center in a single game. So, I mean, the dude is, he's playing out his mind. He is definitely doing that. But, we'll see. I'm going for Shea Butter. That's what I'm going for. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think also too, if you look at the roster, if you take Shea off the Thunder, they're not that good. You
Yeah.
take Nikola Jokic off the Nuggets, they're not that good. But you also have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. who could still kind of get you some wins in some points. Like if you take off Shea, who the hell is going to score for the Thunder? You know, J-Dub is probably the first leader. I mean, I like J-Dub a lot, but he's still a young buck. He hasn't proven himself in the biggest situations. We'll see when it comes to the playoffs because Shea's going to need another guy. He can't do it all on his own. They'll just blitz him and double team him the whole time. So it's either going to be Chet or it's going to be J-Dub, but at least the Nuggets have somebody like a Jamal Murray who can go off for 40 or 30 a night. And so Michael Porter, if he's engaged, he can play pretty well too. So that's another reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I think I like the point. I think Oklahoma is not as good as Denver without their star player. So
not
yeah. Let's see. We're going to go into a little bit of Red Wings and Tigers because those are probably the least amount of news that is coming out from the NHL and MLB because they're still Tigers are still in.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna step away for a second. I'm just gonna mute myself.
Okay. The Red Wings played last night. They played the Golden Knights, and they also won 3-0. They've won 2 of the last 3. I don't know if that's going to help them too much, but we do have highlights of that game. And there was your highlights of the Red Wing hockey game of the 3-0 shutout of the Golden Knights. It didn't really make a dent as far as how the playoffs are concerned with the wild card. They still got a long way to go. They got 2 points to make up, so it's going to be a struggle. They're like the third team in a hunt for the wild card. So I don't know if they're going to make it. In fact, I don't think they're going to make it, but they got to win a lot of games, and they got to hope everybody in front of them loses a lot. So we'll see about that. As far as the Tigers news is concerned, the Tigers lost to the Orioles yesterday in spring training 7-1. The record stands at 9-10 in spring training. And they made a Cardinals traded left-hand pitcher Bailey Horn to the Tigers for cash consideration. So this is another pitcher in the rotation. Probably will be sent down to AAA most likely because their rotation's basically set. So, and then on the other front of Tigers news, Kirk Gibson will be leaving the broadcast booth, but will remain as Tigers advisor. So, you're going to miss Kirk and his calling of the game.
Hey, call Dan Miller, man. Dan Miller do baseball.
There you go.
That guy's
it might make it exciting too. Might make it exciting too. You never know.
Oh yeah.
Folks, yesterday was the beginning of March Madness.
Yep.
And we do have 2 teams that are in our state that have made the tourney. 2 Big Ten teams, Michigan at 25-9 and Michigan State at 27-6. Michigan, of course, won the Big Ten tourney yesterday over Wisconsin, and Wisconsin was the one that took out Michigan State. Michigan is the 5th seed, I think, in the Western bracket, isn't it? Western bracket?
Yeah.
And they're playing the UC San Diego team. They're 30-4. They have a 15 in a row winning streak going on. They're a very dangerous team. Hopefully Michigan can take that Big Ten tourney win and use it against that 15-game win streak. It's going to be a good game. San Diego is a pretty good team coming into the tournament. Michigan State will be playing the College of Bryant. They've won 6 in a row, and they've won the American East Championship. yesterday. So, but I think Michigan State pretty much will handle that. They're pretty much, they're usually a lock in
A lot of
the
people
first
have Michigan State
round.
in the Final Four. Like,
What's that?
a lot of people have Michigan State in the Final Four.
Yeah, at least in an 8, in the Elite 8. So, yeah, I've seen them from the Elite 8 to the Final Four. I even seen somebody pick them as a champion, but that's Homer stuff going on there. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We will keep tabs on both of these teams as they progress through the tourney. Hopefully, both of them can make it, although they probably will be playing each other because they're in the same bracket at one point or another, if they make it that far, because I think Auburn is the number 1 seed in that bracket.
Yeah. And on top of that, Michigan's going to play my Aggies in the second round. So that, I don't think they're going to beat the Aggies, but that's just my opinion. They lock down on defense like nobody's business. But
again, that's homeration. But anyway,
I'm just saying. Hey, I'm looking at the matchup. Michigan don't shoot the 3 well, and the Aggies, the only weakness they have is giving up 3s. And if they're not shooting the 3 well, that plays into the Aggies' favor because the Aggies will just pressure defense the whole time. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Well, Michigan, I think the thing with Michigan is they have a pretty good defensive team. The problem with them is they're not a real good shooting team.
Yeah.
I think what happened with Wisconsin just ran out of gas at the end because they were winning most of the game. And Michigan just turned it on at the last part of the game when they needed to turn it on. It was hitting 3s and all kinds of shots, and it was.
I'll tell you what. If Michigan wants to win against A&M, because I'm assuming they're both gonna advance because A&M's playing Yale, so they should be fine. They both advance. Like, they better give the ball to number 50 because that guy can wreck a game and wreck the defense too. Because if he can score willingly inside, A&M doesn't have that kind of size to match that dude. I mean, they have bigs, but they don't have a big at 7 foot. They have Payne from Minnesota. They got a transfer from that. That would be a good matchup. And he's long and he can block shots, but that number 50 is going to be their center point. And if they can feed him early and often, they have a good chance. But if A&M can shut that thing down, and Michigan's not a really good shooting team, man, it's got to be tough for them.
Yeah, the thing about Michigan is their offense. If their offense can't be consistent in the game, they are definitely going to lose. Their defense, I have not a problem with, but their offense is definitely, they got to be consistent. If they're not consistent, they're not going to go far in a tourney.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's true with any team, but more so with the Wolverines because they're not an offensive team; they're more of a defensive team.
Yeah.
And like I said, defense can only get you so much part of the game. Defense is not like the NFL in college basketball. It doesn't always win you championships. Usually the offense does.
A&M's not a good shooting team themselves. They're probably the worst in the SEC in shooting. But the thing about it is they have pretty good guard play. And in the tournament, 3 things win you a championship: guard play, interior presence, and defense. And A&M has at least 2 of those. They have the guard play, and they play damn good defense.
The Wolverines got to get past San Diego first. I've seen several analysts say that will be the upset right there.
I think they will because that number 50 is they don't have a lot of size in San Diego, But yeah, their shots aren't falling. It could be scary if they get down for sure.
And that's a good point by Brett. They can't believe that Wolverines played 3 games in 45 hours and won all of them.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes that gauntlet is the best if you play games so close together. So
life of the tourney, man. Life of the tourney. You turn around and then you got the real tournament. The tourney before the tourney.
So what do you think about Michigan State?
Michigan State, like I said, a lot of people have them in the Final Four. Who's their top bracket?
They're number 2 and Auburn's number 1.
Oh, okay. So you said that they're Michigan State and Auburn's bracket.
Yeah. Both Michigan and Michigan State are in Auburn's bracket.
That would be interesting because Auburn is beatable. I mean, Janiah Broome is really good, but they're beatable. And Michigan State has guard play. They play good defense and they have great coaching with Izzo. I think if you can contain Janiah Broome, you have a chance of winning. If you can't contain Janiah Broome, then yeah, it's gonna be really tough to beat that team, because if Janiah Broome goes off, they have shooters on the outside. They're the antithesis of Michigan State. They can shoot the ball very, very well, and they have interior presence with Janiah Broome. That's why a lot of people have them probably going and winning it all. So it would be a good matchup. I don't know who else is in the bracket. I haven't really looked at all the brackets yet. Do you know who the other teams are in those brackets?
I'll bring it up right quick.
Said Michigan State's number 2, so they're technically not going to play anybody lesser than them. But I'd like to see who else is in that bracket outside of A&M, because I think A&M's a threat if they can beat Michigan, because they're a good SEC team. They're probably the 5th or 6th best SEC team in that conference, and the SEC is loaded. And they've beat Auburn already. So.
All right, let's see what we got here. West brackets. Okay, bear with me here. Jesus, like it would be simple, but it's not. Okay, let's do this. West here. One is where's Auburn? Are they in the South? Is that it?
I don't know. I don't know why A&M's in the bracket with Michigan and Michigan State. It's interesting.
Yeah, they're in the same. Yeah, all of them are in the same. I know that for a fact. I might be wrong about what ones they are.
Well, it's all good. I mean, Michigan State's number 2 seed for a reason. So
here we go.
They've battle tested, so they should.
So they're in the. They're in the. Oh, okay. I thought Michigan was in the same bracket.
No, they're not.
No. Okay, Michigan is in Duke's bracket.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Michigan
in the East.
Yeah, Michigan.
No, Michigan is in Duke's bracket, and Auburn and Michigan State's in Auburn's bracket.
Right. And my Aggies are in the Auburn's bracket with Michigan. I tell you what, if Duke matched up with Michigan State, I would take Michigan State over Duke, because Duke's a young team. They got Cooper Flag, but I would take Izzo over John Shire for the coaching aspect, because Izzo's been there and he's got a talented team. So, yeah, I would definitely take Michigan State over Duke.
So it looks like So the Aggies are in Houston's bracket, Midwest.
Okay.
They don't play Michigan at all. Okay, I got it. Nope, they don't play Michigan at all. Michigan's in the East bracket, and Texas A&M is in the Midwest bracket, and Michigan State is in the South.
Oh, I thought I read it wrong. I thought that they were in the bracket, like they would if the A&M and Michigan advance, they would play each other in the next round. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they have. That's updated, so it's the right bracket I'm looking at. So
I need somebody put that on there because they were.
Uh-oh. He went out. What's we got here? Izzo over Duke for sure. Yeah, I got that too, Brett. I think I'm just, well, first of all, I'm not a big Duke fan. I hate Duke. But when our guest on here, Sonia Pearson from Prim and Proper Sports, she's a Duke fan. And when I told her I didn't like Duke, she kind of frowned at me. But anyway, the point of the matter is I don't like Duke at all. I love it when they lose. I haven't liked Duke since the Krzyzewski era. I just don't like Duke. I think they usually never put players in the NBA that succeed. There's like a couple. And one of them was played for the Pistons was Grant Hill. But other than that, they really don't put too many people in the NBA to succeed. They're basically just college players that are elite college players. With that being said, let's see what we got here. We are going to move on to the NFL. And look at this. The Bengals wrap up Chase and Higgins for the next 4 years. You believe that? And the details of that is Chase and T to 4-year deals. Chase for $161 million and Higgins for $115 million. Chase has $112 million guaranteed and makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Higgins is the highest paid second-string wide receiver ever. So this is going to bring up an interesting thing because you're paying all these people, and it looks like that Trey Henderson might be the odd man out. Now, they said they're working on a contract for Trey, and I kind of would believe that because you can't be all one-sided in the NFL on who you pay. The offense, I mean, you either going to have to, my colleague Nate, he said you either got to draft or you got to, either you got to draft or you got to either got to draft well in the defense and pay your offense. And that's basically, his rules. And basically a lot of NFL teams follow that. I agree with that. But, I mean, you get rid of Hendricks. I mean, you're not really doing anything for the Bengals that they're not already accustomed to doing, which is losing. So, I mean, Joe Burrow is a good quarterback, and he's not going to have too much of an offensive line. And I don't know, man. Yes, they did. They're going to screw themselves pretty much for the future. They better win now, because if they don't win now, there's no telling what's going to happen for them in the future. And I like Trey. I hope that he would be traded here, but he might go down. His value might drop now, because if they can't pay him, they're going to have to trade him. And if they go back down to a second round, third round pick, or a second and a third, I mean, Washington's out there. They want Trey Henderson too. They want him bad. They said they don't care about the draft picks or the money. They're going to take him. So it's the biggest bidder first. And considering the fact that, Washington did beat Detroit last year, I don't know how Hendrickson would view that. He might think that he might not want to go to Washington. He might want to go to Detroit, be on the other side of Hutchinson. Maybe that's probably what he's looking for. Maybe he's not looking for somebody that's on, playing opposite of anybody that's on the defense. Might make him better in Washington because he might be the man on the defensive line. But as far as Detroit goes, working with Hutchinson, I mean, he's just going to make Hutchinson better. He's going to, he might lose a few sacks, 17 and a half, 2 years in a row. That might dwindle down to maybe 10. And so I don't know. It's going to be a toss up for paying these two guys.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point about Hendricks. Like, Henderson is that if he goes to the Commanders, he's the guy. Absolutely. He is 100% the guy, because they don't have a pass rusher of that caliber. If he goes to Detroit, he's 1A to Aiden. Like, they're 1 and 1A. And I don't think he would care. I mean, as long as he gets paid and he goes to a team that's on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl, I think he'd be smitten on either one, because he's going to get paid regardless, and he's going to two teams that those should be the only two teams he should go to, because he's not going to go to the AFC. They're not going to trade him with the AFC, especially now that they just linked up Higgins and Chase. Now they're in the talks of trying to win, so they're not going to trade him to the AFC. So he's going to the NFC, and the only two teams that make a snowball's chance of hell is the Commanders and the Lions. I don't think the Eagles can afford him. The Eagles have already moved off a lot of players, and they paid their big ones, and they moved off all the other players because they're getting ready for the draft. So the Lions and Commanders make the most sense. And I do think that it could also be, the fact is the Commanders did beat the Lions, that he might line up with the Commanders.
And the fact that we don't have the same offensive defensive coordinator that we had last year.
True.
Although again, I do say Shepard will probably be the better defensive coordinator, but
probably,
I mean, it depends on how Hendrickson sees the situation. If he really, because he doesn't want to leave Cincinnati, he's made that plain and clear. He said he'd love to stay in Cincinnati if he can, and he doesn't have a butt like a ... like Max Crosby did. But if I was traded, I would like to go to Detroit. He didn't have no butt. He didn't have no ... He just said, "I'd love to stay in Cincinnati." That's all he said.
I think at the end of the day, he will stay in Cincinnati, because
I do too.
Cincinnati, the realistic thing with that roster is that they're going to have 4 players that are going to take up most of their cap, and the rest is just going to have to be figured out through the draft or cheap signings. And like, unlike the Lions have their pillars lined up and signed already. So, and they have more than just 4 players. They have probably about maybe 8 to 10 players that, are the pillars of this team. It just makes sense for him to stay there. But if he doesn't, I could see the Commanders being over the Lions because of Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded coach. He knows what kind of defense he likes to run because he saw it with the Cowboys. So I think that it could definitely be a good match made in heaven for that sense. And there's no knock on the other Dan. It's just that Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded coach. He talks the lingo that Trey does and plays, And I think that would be the advantage over the Lions. Aiden would be lucrative to want to come play with Aiden. But like you said, new defensive coach, another one of our best players is coming off an injury. Not sure what he's going to look like going forward. We hope he's going to be fine, but you just don't know. And Washington seems to have everything right now. They got the quarterback, they got the receivers, they're improving their defense, and he would drastically improve that defense. And you have a defensive-minded coach. So, yeah, I think it's Cincy, probably the Commanders, and then the Lions. I would think.
And now, in saying that, this is the thing that I'm thinking about, because the Lions did sign DeMarcus Lawrence, or not DeMarcus Lawrence, Marcus Davenport. And I think that was is a prequel to something that he wants to do. Either I don't know if this is where he's trying to figure out if they can get Hendrickson. And if they can't get Hendrickson, if he does go to the Commanders, then I think they're going to go back and sign Smith, because Smith hasn't been snatched up yet. Or, Ojulari from New York Giants. He can get either one of those two guys.
That's their plan,
maybe both of them.
Plan B. That's their plan B if Cincy is out on the market for him.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's the reason why he did resign, Marcus Davenport, because of that. But I'm hoping that's the reason he did that. But like I said, if it's a plan 1A and plan 1B, that's probably where it's going to go. But you're right. I think Washington has more of a chance to do it than Detroit does.
Yeah, and C would probably be the drafted ends. So, or double down and draft 2 ends or something like that. So that would be in my opinion.
Yeah. And then the other news that came out today, as a matter of fact, was The Texans locking up cornerback Derek Stingley. He got a 3-year contract worth $90 million, I believe.
Highest paid cornerback.
Yeah,
in the NFL.
$90 million extension, $89 million guaranteed. He's the highest paid DB in NFL history.
Seems like we're hearing that a lot more. Highest paid in the NFL history. Reset the books every time.
Yeah, and then on the other podcast I was on just before this one, they were saying that, would you ever see a day when wide receivers would be making more than quarterbacks? I said, I think I predicted this like a couple of years ago because of the salary cap and how outrageous some of these contracts are. So it's a matter of time when that catches up. So,
well, you think about it, you have a really, really good quarterback, but you have really good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're lucky you get both.
But Stingley, do you think that Stingley deserved that contract?
Hell no. I mean,
why not?
That kind of money to make up his top. Is he the best cornerback in the NFL? No. I still think Sauce is. I think he's a top 5 guy. I mean, but if you look at PFF grades, I was listening to this on talk radio. You know where Sauce's PFF grade was last year without cheating and looking? Just take a wild guess.
Probably around 70 or below. A little
70
bit below
or
70.
Below?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, he might have been like between 70. I'll take that back. I'll take it between 75 and 80.
Sauce?
Yeah.
He was 32.
That was his PFF?
That was his PFF. That's where he ranked in cornerbacks. PFF grades.
But what was his PFF, though?
Oh, I don't know. They just said he was ranked 32 in cornerbacks for their PFF. I'm sure it's whatever the PFF coverage grade. But the point is what I'm saying is Stingley was like top 10. So he's good. He's good. There's no doubt. Is he that good? I don't know. I mean, the Texans did what
70.
The Texans
did
what
72.
The Texans did what they should have done. They paid their great player now and set the market, so they don't have to worry about it now. They put that away.
Actually, in coverage grade, he was 73.1 in the grade and 34 out of 222 cornerbacks.
34, okay, so still pretty good. Yeah. But Stingley's good, but is he the best cornerback in the NFL? No, I would take Sauce over Stingley. That's me. But it's all based on what the team feels like. They feel like he is one of their pillars, and he's young and he's only going to get better, and so they lock him up now. So hey, I'm okay with it. I think the money's a lot, but
Well, Stingley's coverage grade was 74.9, 22nd among 222 cornerbacks.
Okay,
that's better than Sauce. Let me see.
He's good. I think there's no doubt he's good.
I think Surtain is the best corner, actually. Tell you the
truth.
I
forgot about Surtain. Yeah, Surtain. Yeah, I would take Surtain over Stingley. But he's in there. He's in the top 5 in cornerbacks for sure. I would put him up there.
And then on top of it, you can't really say you wouldn't pay him that much money because, first of all, these other cornerbacks already got a bag. He's just the next one to come up to get a bag. So when Patrick Surtain's contract comes up again, he'll get a bag.
I guess my only argument, and this is just my argument, is I don't think he's the best cornerback in the NFL, and they just paid him as the best cornerback in the NFL. That's my argument.
Yeah, see, Patrick Surtain is 87.4 coverage.
I would take Patrick Surtain, and I would take Sauce Gardner over Stingley.
Third 228. I mean, that's what you would take. But if you're paying, like I said, you can't help where you pay the corner at. If the corner gets paid that kind of money, the next corner that gets paid is going to get paid more than him. That's just the way a succession in the NFL goes.
If they're that good, yes, I agree. If they're that good. I mean, J.C. Horn is not as good as either of those guys, and he got paid he was the number 1 cornerback before Stingley. So that's
what I would agree with. But I mean, again, he got paid, but then Stingley got paid more than him based on his contract on J.C.
Well, yeah,
Horn's contract.
J.C. Horn. If J.C. Horn's your number 1 cornerback getting paid, you don't think Stingley went to the Texans and go like, dude, I'm so much better than this guy. Like I deserve to be paid as number 1.
That's what I'm trying to say. It was a one team pays another team
Yeah.
way over than what it's supposed to be worth. Like for J.C. Horn, his coverage grade is 57.9.
I know.
He's 136 in cornerbacks.
I know
His
that
run
was
defense is good.
that was a head scratcher on me on mine. I think that was just the Panthers. You know, shout out to Sonia on her team. That was the Panthers actually just signing a player that they felt that they could build on, and they didn't want him to leave. Like they didn't want him to go out after his contract was up. You know, and they're like, screw it, we have the money, let's just do it. Lock him up. He's a hometown boy. You know, like let's just keep him in this team. We don't want him going anywhere. Because sometimes, you know this, you have to overpay players to keep them. And I think that was definitely an overpay to keep a guy that you just knew that probably was going to bounce after his contract was up. You know, and so it's just showing belief in the player that they have, and they hope he can get better. You know, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, this market's just getting crazy. Like, it's just
according to PFF, I'm looking at the 2024-25 PFF standings for corners. Cooper DeJean was the number one corner. He was at 86.3.
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain was 83.8. Garrett Williams from the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody knows who the hell that is, but I do. He's 82. He's a very good corner too. 82% or 82 grade. Trent McDuffie got an 82 grade for Kansas City. Derek Stingley was an 80.4. He was the fifth rated corner in PFF.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about. Yeah. But another thing too, we need to let the listeners know is that when they do these grades, they factor in nickel and starting cornerbacks. Like, I mean, like nickel cornerbacks in the thing. Cooper DeJean is not an outside cornerback. He was a nickel cornerback. So he wasn't playing against some of the best receivers all the time. He was playing in the slot. So I think some of those numbers are kind of inflated a little bit because he wasn't like Sauce. He wasn't like Patrick Surtain. He wasn't like Stingley, who were constantly always guarding some of the best receivers, you know, unless they had a really good slot merchant.
You know, the only argument I have against that's not completely true because there's a lot of, I mean, it's all based on how good the corner is that plays nickel. Now, you can have somebody like Amik Robertson, for instance, who plays mainly as a nickel corner. But he did play some outside, but his grades ain't all the way up there either. It's.
Well, I mean, he manned the nickel position and did a good job. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I'm just saying that, like, okay, let's just take this for instance. If the Eagles are, if the Eagles are playing, give me a team with a lot of good receivers. I don't know, maybe the Rams.
Cincinnati.
Okay, Cincinnati. There you go. Okay. So if the Eagles are playing Cincinnati, who's going to primarily guard Chase? Is it going to be Slay? Is it going to be Quinyon Mitchell? Or is it going to be Cooper DeJean?
Well, probably with Quinyon Mitchell because he's a number one pick. He's the one out there.
He's also playing the outside, and you hardly ever see Chase playing slot. Sometimes they put him in there, but you know he's going to mostly be outside.
Again, I don't buy into that whole situation of because you still have to play that position anyway. It doesn't make a difference. There's a reason why there's a lot of slot corners that don't get high PFF ratings because they don't play well in that slot position, and that's against competition that they should be, you know.
I'm just saying when you talk about your top 5 cornerbacks, the Surtains, the Stingleys, the who else did we say was top 5 or something like that? I'm losing my thought here.
McDuffie.
Anyways, yeah. Those
Garrett
guys are primarily guarding the best receivers. That's all I'm saying. So, you know, Cooper DeJean very well could be, now that Slay is out, he's going to probably, they could keep him at nickel or he could go outside. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. But you know, then you're really going to see when he matches up against better receivers, you know, how good he is. You know, because it's all about competition. It's all about who you go against. You know, cornerback could be good, but if he's not going against the number 1s and 2s, and he's going against your third or fourth options, I mean, he's good against that, but is he really going to fare well when you put him against, the likes of a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown? We don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, again, receivers line up all kinds of places.
True.
So you can't, I mean, you can say that Chase is a number one and Higgins is a number two, but they don't always line up at the 1 and 2 positions. They can line up at the 3.
Yeah, I mean, they'll
they
mix
do
them
that
up,
at the 3, and somebody will, and somebody's got to cover that. And I'm sure that's, Philadelphia played a lot of receivers. There's really no really good receivers that they had to cover in the NFC side of things. Maybe CeeDee Lamb, but then that was Quincy Mitchell. But at the same time, you still have to cover that position.
Sure, no, I get it.
Because you don't have a CeeDee Lamb playing it, that doesn't mean that cornerback isn't good. He's good for what he's supposed to be playing, which is nickel.
I'm not saying Cooper Jean's not good. I'm just saying that that PFF grade of number 1 cornerback is kind of inflated. That's all I'm saying. It's not an accurate representation of who he went against. That's all I'm saying. He's good. No, I mean, he had a good year.
But PFF doesn't go by who you cover. PFF goes by what you do as you cover and your breakdowns of the other things you do.
Who you're going against. Yes, I agree.
So that's why people try to find fault in PFF. I don't find fault in PFF with those certain things because it doesn't make a difference on the person that you cover. As long as you cover them, long as you cover them appropriately. That's the
only metrics we have to go forward with when it comes to football. Like that's the only metrics we have to grade our players on is the PFF because they actually base it upon snaps, coverage, who they're playing, who they're going against, all the analytics and the metrics behind it.
Well, I don't know about that, Brett. I don't call them fictitious facts. They're based on stats that are real time. So I don't know why everybody keeps calling it fictitious. It's not fictitious. It's based on stats during the game. That's what they base it on.
That's the only in-game stats we have to measure.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will say that because, a lot of their favorite players have low PFF sometimes. But that's just because they're playing. I mean, Amik Robinson didn't have a high PFF. And people say, well, PFF is not like an eye test anyway. It's, your eye test is the one that it determines whether it's a good corner or not. But if you're measuring in metrics and those, because a lot of teams use PFF. They do. They do to draft players. They use PFF to pay players. Believe me, it happens. So
only one's admitted that, and I don't know why he did that, but that was Kwesi from the Vikings.
Yeah, and then on top of it, well, at least they don't judge them on Madden overall Madden.
Oh my God,
like the Jets guy. So there hasn't been any more major movements in the NFL so far today besides those two things. So the needle's not moving too much. Green Bay Packer fans are getting kind of PO'd at Goody because he is not getting a wide receiver in there. They feel they need wide receiver help. Yeah, so it's still early in the free agency period. People don't understand that. You got to be patient.
I think a lot of these teams are waiting for the market to settle down and the dust to settle before they go and sign these other players.
Yeah.
And
what it's also doing too, if you think about it, it's also driving that cost down.
Yeah.
Because the longer these free agents stay out here, like Buffalo's talking about bringing back Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs probably feels put out because he's not getting any play from nobody, which is his own doing. But the point of the matter is his money value is going down.
If he didn't tear his ACL, he would have been signed already. I promise you that.
Yeah, probably somebody would have signed him, even with his antics. But I don't know. I would probably say I wouldn't do that. But anyway, But anyway, thank you, Nate, for showing up, and Brett, thank you very much for being on. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. One ass cheek, 3 toes. This is B. Striller signing off. Y'all have a good rest of your St. Patrick's Day. Peace out.